focus on that and not worry about my trip.
See? There's always a meaning.
Yeah.
There's always a purpose.
Yeah.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Na avarena narena proktaha esha suvigneyaha bahudha chintyamanaha ananya prokte natiratra nasti atarkyam anupramanat. Yeah, this there is still a lot more to say on this. What can I say? That is why it is called Upanishad. Very precise. And because she is precise, what happens? A lot is communicated in one word. Every means that which negates, also has what? Also has 3 or 4 meanings, like we saw last time. I promised there would be a quiz, didn't I? Not a quiz, relax. What we will have instead is what? A recapitulation, meaning I talk the same things again. That's why there is water. So avara means what? Inferior. Vara, superior. A is the negating, negative particle. Avara. Avarena, third case, by an inferior person. Nara, person. Proktaha. Proktaha means taught. Na eshaha. This Atma. Eshaha means this. This means that is very close to me. Only things which are close to me, I use the term this. I will say this book, these clothes, this. Whereas that door, that lamp, that person, that is always remote. That means Tatu, right? And it is always used for Brahman. Oh, that means Brahman must be very far away. How far is Brahman? Huh? Not far. But then why do we use the word that for Brahman? Because the mind is twisted into thinking it is very far. I feel completely away from Brahman. This is the sad little jiva talking. Yeah. The sad little jiva has christened, as it were, Brahman by the preposition that. And the Atma, oneself, by the preposition this, because this I am always available and I am available right here, right now. So I am this, whereas Brahman is that. That's why the Mahavakya is, that is actually this. That is this is that. And now we start to sound like Dr. Seuss, right? Yeah, like this children's book author. Cat in hat, this is that, like that we'll be saying. And that is perhaps why the Britishers, when they first came to India and they looked at the Upanishads, They could not make head or tail of it. That is whole, this is whole, speaking of that and this. That means the cause of the universe is whole. This, what has come out of this jiva, also whole. And the whole has come from the whole. And when the whole comes from the whole, does it make a hole in the hole? No. There is no hole in the hole. And this is our closing mantra. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. And of course, reading the translations of these things, which they themselves made, because it's Sanskrit grammar, it's not enough to know. It's just a start. You have to then know how to unfold that grammar according to the Upanishads, according to how it should be understood. So here they read all that and they came to the conclusion the Upanishads are the prattlings of an infantile mind. Just like Dr. Seuss. That is this is that. They couldn't understand anything. When somebody told me, aren't you upset they said that? I said, no, actually I'm very happy they said that. Why? Because they left it alone. They did not try to take that away or make it some kind of a distort it, because they really did not see it as a threat to the monarchy and to their, cultural and political and social rule. They didn't see it as a threat, so they left it alone. And it became a potent tool. That Satya in the Upanishad became a potent tool of evicting them out of India, used by Mahatma Gandhi. Satyagraha. Graha means catching hold of the truth. Really. That became the, the lifestyle which is given by the Upanishad became the tool, the very tool, and they didn't know what to do. The Britishers were just stymied. He said, what is this man in a loincloth, this brown man in a loincloth, never gets angry, never gets upset, but takes us for a spin all the time. This is what it is. This is the phala, the fruit of knowing the Upanishads. It brings out the inner Gandhi in everyone, really. It is there in everyone and it brings that out. This is a very beautiful thing. So, coming back to the topic, so here, this is always used to see things that are available here and now, and that is for things which are supposedly remote, right? Yeah. Supposedly underlined. Why underlined? Because that is in my non-understanding, it is far away. And the Upanishad, since it's trying to help me to understand, it uses those very words which I am familiar with, this and that. My own reference point it uses, and it tries to lull me into a sense of safety, because there is a certain truth to it, because Brahman is not available locally. So therefore the wrong conclusion is what? It must be far away. This is the non-understanding person. So the Upanishad helps me understand using my own terminology so that I feel included in the conversation. Otherwise I'll feel very excluded, because if there is no frame of reference for the student to see that there is a separation here, or that non-separation is the truth, there is no frame of reference to see, because we have to start with the separation, with the as though separation to get to the non-separation. And to understand that this separation is really as though is the point of this Upanishad or any Upanishad. So, Eshaha, this, Tat, that. So, Eshaha Atma, this self, this I, is not known when it is peddled, when the wares are peddled by an inferior teacher. It's very clearly written. Yeah. And then what? Ananya prokte, however, Ananya prokte, when the teacher is of the caliber where the knowledge of the Upanishad and the teacher have as it were become one. Were they ever separate to become one? No. Meaning a teacher who knows that this and that are one and the same. That this is neither this nor that is that. So if that is this and this is that, everything is just one. The subject matter and the teacher have, what's the word for it, blended together as it were. Unlike, this is not happens in any other mithya subject matter, you know. You don't become a microbe, I told you last week, because you're teaching, you know, bacteriology or something. You don't become a microbe. Neither do you become a chemical because you're a biochemistry professor. You don't become one with the knowledge. Here Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman is Brahman alone. So that the scales of the delusion have fallen from whose eyes, that is regarded by the Upanishad as a superior teacher. So why make this classification between inferior and superior? Because unfortunately, as we also saw last 2 weeks we have been seeing, the inferior, so-called inferior people are quick to peddle their wares, you know, and keep saying, I know this, I know that, catch your nose, catch your toes, and you know, eat your way to moksha. There is one group that says that. You keep eating, you know, and then what will happen? You will become a bada Mahatma, big. Mahatma means great soul. So, this is all kinds of things. You can do whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want, and nothing will happen. How can nothing will happen? What about the laws of the universe? You know? What about the laws of space? Oh, well, you know, it doesn't apply to this body. Why? Because it is all these strange things. So this strangeness is what is being talked about here. Is that avarena prokte sati, you know, by an inferior person, this Atma is of no use to learn from. Because many times one gets attached to teachers that are not able to teach, or that they are not willing to teach. There are two kinds of teachers. Some don't know, and some know, but they don't want to teach, or they don't believe in teaching, or they don't feel like teaching, or they don't know how to teach. They know, but they don't know how to teach, because knowing that this is that is separate from teaching. This is that. It's different. Because there is a methodology to unfold, and there are certain notions to knock off, and that has to be inherited from one's teacher. So therefore the person has to be well taught. And then Ananya here, first meaning applies to the subject. Who is that? The teacher is Ananya, non-separate from what the teacher teaches. The teacher is Ananya. And then what? The subject matter is Ananya. The object is also Ananya. The Upanishad is Ananya. And then what is not said, but what is important to know is the student is Anya or Ananya? Ananya. Anya means separate. So what is going on here? Ananya teacher is teaching Ananya subject matter to Ananya student in front of Ananya Bhagavan. What is going on here? It's what should I say? Non-separateness fest. Yeah. It's the festival of non-duality. It's a festival of non-separateness throughout, you know. And so this is the fun part, is that it's an ultimate paradoxy that we try to inject a duality where it is not, only for the purpose of rubbing it out, erasing it. This is why the duality is stoked and then it is put to rest. Stoked as though put to rest, as though there is nothing really. And then again we have, so what happens when the Ananya teaches? Ananya subject matter, Ananya student, Ananya teacher. When taught by the Ananya, what happens? Gatihi nasti. Gatihi literally means movement, but figuratively means many, many more things, as we saw last time. 3 meanings we pressed out from the sesame seed sized word gati. Yeah? From the small word we eked out 3 meanings. What were they? One is options. Gati means option, moving around, you know, from Atma is one, Atma is two, Atma is many, Atma is too many, right? You know, Atma is got by standing on the head, Atma is got by having cake on your face. So many options. Atma is so many. This is one, this is a missed interpretations, or misinterpretations are called gati. So taught by the proper person, there are no missed interpretations and there are no misinterpretations. One meaning gone. What's the next meaning?
Some movement.
Huh?
Movement.
Gatihi, movement, yes. Then pursuits. There are no pursuits. Next meaning, pursuit. Don't get stuck with movement, because that's just the literal meaning of the word. Yeah. The first meaning is comprehension. We are only looking at the figurative meanings. The second meaning is what? Pursuits. Yeah. First is the options. Yeah. Options in terms of proper comprehensions, which takes away the options. The second meaning is pursuits. Gatihi nasti means there is nothing more to pursue. That is why the Upanishad can say with great alacrity, Yena vijnanena sarvam vijnatam iti bhavati. By which knowledge everything is as well known. It's beautiful. So that means, I will know Chinese after knowing about Brahman. Yes or no? No. So how does this mean everything is as well known? How can you say that? Because I want to know. If I know everything, then I should know everything. I should study Upanishad and suddenly start speaking Greek and Chinese and all the languages. I should know everything. Correct? No. Why? Because the overt differences, which are the as though differences, the apparent differences remain. Correct? Between who? Jiva and Ishvara. Between the individual and the total. The apparent differences remain. And as long as this unbridled, limitless consciousness has this idiotic body, mind, sense complex to carry around, it will still remain slightly idiotic. But we don't have to fear that, because one can enjoy being limited, as it were, because I know that the limitation is as though. So that is the difference. Even though Jiva is Sarvagya. Sarvagya means all-knowing. Sarvam janati iti Sarvagya, all-knowing. All-knowing means what? All-knowing means that the person, what is all? First of all, we have to see. This is a very nice definition. All comprises things that I know plus things that I do not know. Can you agree? Mm-hmm. Things I know plus things I do not know constitute all. Mm-hmm. So all-knowing means I know that I know these things. I know that I know, Eugene. I know that I know the West Coast. I know that I know these cities that I have inhabited or visited. And then what? I know that I don't know Africa, right? I know that I do not know other galaxies and planets. So that is in general called Sarvagya. Sarvagya means all-knowing. So that is the Samanya, the same for Jiva and Ishvara. No difference at all. Jiva also is Sarvagya, knows what I know, knows that I don't know. So I know all. I am all-knowing in the sense that I know what I don't know. And Ishvara also is the same. But Ishvara is also Sarvavit. Sarvavit means all-knowing in specific ways. That's why if you pray to Ishvara in the Mandarin language, Ishvara will not say no comprendo. Yeah, Ishvara will not say no, you have to pray only in Spanish, only in Italian, then only I will bless you with whatever favor you need. So therefore what? Therefore that means any prayer in any language Ishvara understands. Right? So and all the specific knowledge of how the some engine works, or how the weather goes around, the laws of motion, everything is also with Ishvara. So that makes Ishvara a Sarvavit, the knowledge that is not contained in a head, because Ishvara doesn't have a mind. Yeah, there is no antahkarana, there is no mind. So therefore that all knowledge which is not contained is called sarvavit. Whereas as long as this body mind sense complex is dragged around, there will be continued ignorances of specific objects and specific events and specific people and specific things in this universe. But that of which I am ignorant is Satyam or Mithya? Huh?
Satya.
I will give you 2 minutes, you make up your mind. Of which I am ignorant, meaning I have self-knowledge. I'll make it clearer. I know myself because I have studied the Upanishad, but I don't know Chinese, I don't know Greek, I don't know Slovakian. Mithya. So those things of which I continue to be ignorant are Satyam or Mithya? Mithya. So does it matter if I know them or not?
No.
No. Even if I don't have a smattering of Slovakian, it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. Does it mean I cannot learn that language? Yes, I can have fun learning that language, or I need not learn the language. There is a freedom in this action, What is the freedom? Is that I'm not doing it because I feel bad about myself and I feel like I have to do something in order to be approvable. That is not what is going on. So you see, there is a big difference here. So therefore what? So therefore we have these 2 terms, Sarvajnaha, which applies to Jiva and Ishvara, and Sarvavit. Sarvavit means the one who knows specific things specifically. Yeah, Sarvavit. That can only apply to Ishvara, but it's an apparent difference, it's not real. So we don't bother with it. So come back to that Upanishadic sentence from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yena vijnanena sarvam vijnatam bhavati iti, through which knowledge everything is as well known. That alone is this knowledge of the Upanishad, which is self-knowledge. Because if I know the self, I know everything. Therefore there is no gati, there is no other pursuit. Because when I look into Mithya, look at the news, for example, especially around this time of what just happened, elections. Around election time there is so much hype. Oh, every day this candidate said that. And then that candidate or his campaign retaliated and said this and that and something else. Note that in this sentence, this and that doesn't stand for Atma. This, that or the other is what I mean to say. Okay? So, because then a question may come. But the candidates were not talking Vedanta. So then, now the retaliation has happened. Then what? The first campaign people will say some more things about the retaliation. And then there will be commentators on this bickering, on this, and then the commentators will write, the campaign is getting very nasty, right? That we have read all these things. And then, and then of course the election is fought and then it is won. For someone it is a win, for someone else it is a big loss. And the winners, analyze why we won. And the losers then proceed to analyze why we lost. And then again they play a blame game. The loser blames the winner. Because of you we lost. Because you did this, that, whatever you did. And because we did this and we didn't do that. They won't say we didn't. Because of you we lost. And the winners will pat themselves on the back and say, you may have lost because of us, but despite you we won. So like this, when you start analyzing why one candidate won and why one candidate lost, you will find that you yourself are lost. Yeah. Through all the polls, through all the data that you have mined, through all the things that you have tried to look into, through all that is going on, what do you see? It's just a big zero. Nothing. It leads you to a dead end, no end thing. It's just a momentary noise, distraction, fun. It's fun to look at the numbers, it's fun to predict, it's fun to analyze, it's fun to crunch numbers and see why somebody lost, why somebody won, what is wrong with this campaign, what is correct with this campaign, what is wrong with these people, etc. It's just fun. But it is endless, because will you find the answer? No. Mithya is that where there is no definitive answer. So when you cannot get a definitive answer, that means you are in Mithya. It's endless. It leads you to various things, and this is what I mean by pursuits. In Mithya, when you focus on Mithya, the pursuit becomes endless. It becomes open to all kinds of things. Each one is a dead-end pursuit. This is what is called Gati. So many pursuits. These pursuits and the options of swimming endlessly in this vortex of dead-end discussions is called Gati here. One meaning of the word Gati. It's a vortex because you feel like you're going down the drain. That's why it's a vortex. The discussion is going down the drain because there is nothing. You have, beaten the dead horse. You heard the expression? Beating the horse is already died. Still you continue to flog it. It's an expression meaning, what are you trying to get out of this? And it's a complete distraction. And that's why when after events like that, like whether it's an election or something like that, people get very depressed. Why? Because they were so focused on this. Whole time they were looking into this. Whether it's, you can replace the word election with anything. Financial crisis, and then they are discussing something, some cliff. Huh? Physical cliff? Physical cliff, yes, yeah. So this cliff, it's a big cliffhanger. At what, now the question is at what speed to go off the cliff, as though that's in your hand. So you can get obsessed with that, You can do this cliff and this other thing, and then, some beef and cliff and so many things will be just there. The head is full of all kinds of things. And each thing is taken so seriously that one doesn't know where to go after this. And that is why there is a severe case where when one gets so involved in anything, which is mithya, there is a severe case of the so-called, at least on the cultural postpartum depression. Because after it is done, there is nothing more. The event for which you were waiting has happened. Waiting means what? Completely submerged in. You went out and took out banners and this and that, and after that what, You just have to go to bed. There's nothing else to do. Yeah, regardless of the outcome. So therefore what? This is the nature of mithya. It puts you in a spin. It puts you on the cliff. Yeah. On the precipice rather. Always, wondering. And so therefore what? The sat, when you inquire into that which is definitive, which is in fact yields its meaning in the meaning of the word I, which is you. It yields its meaning. It ends up in you. That is the ultimate. And it's a cognitive pursuit. It's not about acting. It's about a cognitive pursuit. It's about understanding what this is really about. And when that happens, there is no other option. Oh, that means that I can't go out for Chinese food. Yes, you can. Of course you can. That's not the point. The point is, you won't be doing that out of a sense of bondage and filling up a sense of lack within you. Actions will be freer because there is nothing to pursue. When can you have the luxury to say, I am fulfilled, triptoham? It's such a beautiful thing to say. I am contented, I am fulfilled, I am whole, I am free. And from that freedom you can do anything, you can say anything, you can go anywhere. But that doing is not tethered to a sense of non-self-acceptance. This is a big thing, huge thing. And that is the meaning of the word gati, one meaning of the word. It's the second meaning, I think. First meaning was option, second meaning is pursuits. Pursuits close up. Yeah. And the third meaning is samsara. Samsara is often, and here you can say movement. Here you can take the word movement for what it means. Gati means samsara gatihi, apagatihi nasti. Samsara means what? Running around in circles. Yeah. Like a dog, sometimes when they are puppies, they chase the tail. And they don't know that they are chasing their own tail because the tail wags and there is no awareness of the coordination that I am the one who is wagging the tail. The tail is seen to be a prey, something other, anya. Speaking of, tail is not seen as ananya. Tail is seen as anya. And so you see the gati, when you see everything as anya, there is a lot of gati. So then that becomes the prey. The front part of the dog becomes the catcher, the hunter, and the rear part of the dog, the tail, becomes the prey. And then it chases round and round. Samsara is like that. Samsara is basically going around yourself, really. Trying to find something that is you, which you see as other than you. It's a perfect example, the dog chasing the tail. The tail is nothing but the tail of the separation from the Atma, from oneself. A tail, or the sad tale of a jiva. And the jiva looks for that which is oneself in every other place except except where it should be. Instead of focusing on I, you focus on not I, not I, not I, not I, not I. This is while living. And then after the body is gone, body has been left behind. Left behind means what? There is somebody that has left the body behind. And that somebody goes along with intelligence, memory and desire. Yeah, it's very interesting because when we talk about this subtle body, we find this, that in the Upanishads, they say that the intelligence goes, buddhi goes. That's why you can have Mozart. You could not even talk. You sat him at the piano, his baby, he composed a song before he was 1 year old. How is that possible? That gati was there somewhere, somehow, in some other life. That is what we say. So the Upanishad talks about this very beautifully. The Upanishad says that the subtle body which leaves behind the physical body, the gross body, the subtle body consists of the sense organs, the capacity for action, the results of action from this and other lives are being carried also, memory, desire. These things go. And do you think they sit peacefully after the body has dropped? No. They also run around in circles. Because first they want to go to heaven. Then they say, okay, been there, done that, where shall I go next? They keep wanting to go to lokas. The desire propels, like I have said so many times, the desire is the petrol that propels the movement of the subtle jiva from one field of experience to another. And this same thing, similar thing, I was reading in the Wasteland, T.S. Eliot. And he says the same thing. April is the cruelest month, bringing lilacs out of the dead land. Mixing memory and desire. Stirring dull roots in the spring rain. Very, very meaningful. If you look at it deeply, you see all these things there. They were very influenced by Eastern philosophy, these poets, or they had some intuitive understanding of this. They were rishis. So this memory and desire, is the thing that stirs these lilacs that come back from the bud. They are in a bud shape, you see. Bud means what? Collapsed, awaiting fructification. Yeah. So they are in a dormant state. So the memory and the desire are dormant, and then they are what? Reincarnated again. You take on another body. The taking of another body is just to experience all those things that are never experienced in the last time, and the desire for which is very strong. So this is something which is called gati, that even in this life one is running around like a headless chicken or a chickenless head. And then what? After this life also one is running around. Yeah, no head, no chicken, but still the subtle body is running around in search of some anchor. Not knowing that the best anchor is really oneself. You have to come back, fall back on yourself. This they don't have the privilege of knowing. And so this is called samsara gati, adhogati. Adhogati means not good gati. Adha means a fallen gati, not good news. Adhogati, bad news, bad gati. Gatihi nasti. Once this knowledge has been properly delivered by the proper teacher in the proper circumstances, and so proper teacher also means proper student. Why? Because the preparedness, it begs preparedness. So I focus on my preparedness and relax and listen. And this is what it is when that wonderful combination is there, then that is the secret to the truth of one's immortality. Not this body, not this mind, not these senses, but the truth of that I which inhabits the body, mind, sense complex. That is what is revealed as immortal. It's not that you have to, use some anti-wrinkle cream. That is not the point of it. Like I can live forever. That's not the point. You are already living forever. You are never born. You are not subject to death. This is the knowledge. And this is the knowledge that can be, internalized by this ragged, sagging body. The one who is in this body and with a mind that most of the time you feel like saying, never mind. This is the knowledge that is internalized. This is what is totally understood. This is what is the glory of oneself, that one can afford to have a limping body. One can afford to have a mind that doesn't remember even its own name. It's beautiful. This is the beauty of it. That is why when people ask me, does knowing Vedanta make you completely, free of problems? I say no. Makes you big enough to have the problems of others as well, because you know that all problems are as though. Your own problems are as though. Other people's problems are what? As though. If your own problems are as though, how can other people's problems be real? So you become an accommodative individual and you enjoy this limping, ragged, sagging body. You enjoy a mind that is, most of the time gone. You enjoy that. So that this is the whole very beautiful verse and a very important verse. And that is good that we can now move on. Move to the next one. And then the next one follows from this one. So it also said, the last words, remember, of the last verse said what? Atarkyam anu pramana. Anu means Atma is so subtle that is missed. Atarkyam, not an object of logic. We saw that last time. And the Lord Yama picks up on that in the next verse. Naisha tarkena matirapaneya.
Naisha tarkena matirapaneya.
Proktananyane vasujnanaya preshta.
Proktanenaiva sunnyanaya preshta.
Yam tvamapaha.
Yam tvamapaha.
Satyadhritir batasi.
Satyadhritir batasi.
Tvadringno bhuyat.
Tvadringno bhuyat.
Nachiketah prashta.
Nachiketa prashta.
Na esha matihi. Matihi here means a knowledge, a buddhi Mati doesn't mean buddhi. Generally it means buddhi. Mati here means the knowledge. This knowledge, na esha matihi apaneya. Apaneya means prapaniya. That which is to be gained is apaneya. Up to gain. Apaneya is gained. Na esha, this kind of knowledge is not gained. Na apaneya. How? Proktani. Na apaneya, how? How is it not gained? Tarkena. By logicking your way through Ishvara. Establishing Ishvara through logic. Then which becomes bigger? Ishvara or logic? Logic becomes bigger because logic is establishing that which doesn't have a location. Logic is establishing that which is limitless. Logic is establishing that which is infinite. So the infinite no longer remains infinite because it's got a tata. Tata means grandfather, which is what? Logic. The grandfather clause. So you cannot say that logic can establish the limitless I. The limitless I is the one who has given rise, whose knowledge has given rise to whose intelligence, whose knowledge has given rise to the science of logic, correct? So it's upside down. That because of whose presence logic is able to operate logically is called tarka, logic. So how can you use that logic which is the product of what? This mithya product of this satyam I, the infinite I, which is the only real thing, has given to this dependent product called logic. And how can the logic flog the satyam? Mithya, can you get beaten by a mithya stick? No. So, can you what's the word for it? Can you get bitten? Better example. Can you get bitten by a rope snake? No. Just like you cannot get bitten by a rope snake. I mean, there may be people who get bitten. We have to be very accommodative. But generally speaking, logically speaking, it is not possible to be bitten by a rope snake, correct? Yeah. Like that fellow we have talked about this in the Viveka Chudamani one time. That this fellow came to the house of the Gurus saying, my whole body is on fire. A snake has bit me. Which snake? Where? I mean, first his body was examined. There are some distinctive fang marks. If you've been bit by a snake, there were no marks anywhere on him. Where? What did it, what did my rope snake has bit me? Yeah. And the teacher said, sit down. Sit down, this is going to take a while. The antidote for this bite is going to require, several doses of Shravanam. Yeah. Why? Because you are bitten by Ajnana Sarpaha, by the snake of Ajnanam. What is Ajnanam?
Ignorance.
What kind of ignorance?
Self-ignorance.
Self-ignorance. You are bitten by self-ignorance. The antidote is very potent, but it's going to take a little while for the poison to come down. You better sit down. You better have a seat. Yeah. Because you have to sit and listen to this. The listening is the antidote for one that is Ajnana Sarpena Dashtaha, by the one that is bitten by the snake of self-ignorance. Correct? Which is really the rope snake here. So, just like you cannot be bitten by the rope snake, that was just an aside. So, you cannot be bitten by the rope snake. Similarly, you cannot establish Ishvara through logic. Ishvara means you. What is the first letter of Ishvara?
I.
There is no Ishvara other than you. That is foolishness. The duality is really, it's very sad. But it is here to stay, and I don't know what to do, because the people who see this is a complete aside, but I want to have a little air time on this. So I say, this is the having a devotion is very good. It helps to ease all the inner whatever, inner conflict and pain. So be devoted, have devotion. I get two kinds of responses, One kind of response is I am Ishvara, why should I be devoted and to whom am I going to be devoted? Right, valid, but this is one kind. And the other kind of response is like, I am a permanent devotee. So both these are whatever, the two ends of the continuum. One is permanent Dvaita. I'm a permanent devotee. Yeah, I'm saying devotion is a ship to cross the shore of ajnanam, to cross the shore of ignorance. Devotion, use the devotion as a ship. Yeah, being a student is also a ship. That's why it's called studentship. Devotion is also a ship. It carries you across. Correct? Across what? This terrifying ocean of samsara. All these are mithya, but enjoy. So then, why do I require devotion on the one hand? And on the other hand, I'm not going to stop being devoted. These are the two opposite ends. Yeah. We have to come to a gentle middle. Yeah. We have to, the people on this end of the continuum have to take a few steps this side, and the people on the permanent divide between myself and Ishvara have to come back this side. Yeah. So, agre spashtam bhavati means slowly it will get clear. So anyhow, back to our logic. The logic is a discipline, correct? Yeah. So the discipline is operating under the laws of all disciplines operate. Mathematics, arithmetic, mathematics, calculus, trigonometry, all these things, they have their own laws. Science, all these things has its own laws. Humanities has its own laws. Chaos is the law of sociology. So then what is this? What is this logic? It is not outside of the laws of all discipline. So how can it establish that which established it? It's not possible. The master's tools cannot dismantle the master's house. Audre Lorde wrote, a great feminist and a great writer. She wrote this. Meaning what? She was writing about slavery. She was an African American writer. She was writing about slavery. And she said that the tools of the master, what were the tools of the master? Divide and rule, oppress and suppress, exploit. So those cannot, and if the people who are wanting to be free of this oppression, they cannot come under those same rules, which are the tools used by the master. So they cannot be divided amongst themselves and hope to overthrow. You cannot do that. This is what was meant by the master's tools cannot dismantle the house of the master. Meaning the establishment of slavery cannot be dismantled under its own, oppressive practices. It cannot do that. So therefore we have to transcend that. And same thing here. So the logic is just a tool in the hands of the student. Logic is like a wrench that puts the screw in the head in place. You tighten the screw, that holds together two very flimsy pieces of understanding after it has been given by the teacher. What is the meaning of the first gati and the second gati? Oh! And the logic is the screw that merely holds the very fragile understanding in place. We are not opposed to logic. We are not a belief-based tradition. Always it is belief pending understanding. Don't forget that. And the belief is what? Is this to understand. There are certain things which cannot be understood. And that we leave alone. That's not something to teach. That's why we are not teaching how to go to heaven classes. We are not taking. Because nobody understands how to go to heaven. Yeah. We are not saying how, we are not having some kind of tourism classes, how to become a tourist in heaven. What languages do you need to know, what currency you should have, how much punya you should pack and take with you. Nobody is saying. Yeah, will there be toothbrush sold in heaven? If so, what kind? We are not saying all that. What are we talking about? We are talking merely about logic. We are not opposed to logic. But it should be Shruti Anukula, Yuktihi. Yuktihi means logic. Shruti Anukula Yukti. Yukti means logic. Shruti Anukula means that which is cool with the Shruti. Anukula means going according to. Yeah, flowing with the Shruti. Anukula. And in English you can understand that which is cool with the Shruti is Anukula logic. A logic that doesn't oppose the statements of the Upanishad is called good logic. And we use that all the time. That's why we use the 3 states of, what are they called? Experience. What are they? Eating, correct? Eating, sleeping, not waking up, right? No. Dream, sleep, waking. Those are experiences, those are logic. And what is the logic here? There is a single entity that morphs into each of these states. So the states are not ultimate, but the entity that is inhabiting these states, the entity which is I, is ultimate. Correct? That is logic. But this is something that even the Upanishad uses. So we are not opposed to logic, but we don't want the logic to start dictating the terms of its operation, of how this whole thing has come about to us. Because things that can be established logically should be established logically. Logic is nothing but inference. Inference is a means of knowledge. We have already dismissed 3 classes ago inference as a means of understanding the I. The I is not an object of inference, and therefore it is not an object of logic. Got it? Yeah. We have dismissed the I, because if the I can be inferred, then Descartes would have been correct. What did Descartes say? I think, therefore I am. And supposing if Descartes was sitting somewhere in the, in a summer, sunny day somewhere. In a sunny day, he was sitting outside and somebody said, "Do you think it's going to rain?" And Descartes said, "I don't think so." That means he ceased to exist because he said, "I don't think so." If you don't think, you're not there. Are you not there if you don't think? Think about it. In sleep, is there any thought? No. Even though it took a long time for the answer to come, at least the correct answer came. In sleep, there is no thought. Correct? But are you there in sleep or not? Yes. Because when you wake up, you say, "I slept so well, I didn't know anything. I didn't understand anything. I slept like a log." How do you know how a log sleeps? Anyhow. So all this goes to show something which is very important here. And what does it show? It shows that the logic is not something that can establish the I. In fact, that which doesn't need to be established is the I. That which establishes everything is the I. That which in whose presence everything becomes known is the I. So the only non-established thing, how can you infer it? Inference is a useless pramana for establishing the I, or the truth of, much less the truth of the I as Ishvara. First of all, the I is that which doesn't need to be established. That's why we call it self-revealing. It reveals itself, everything becomes evident to it. Self-revealing I, Atma. Then, second thing is that the truth of this self-revealing I happens to be that which is the whole, which is the universe, which is Bhagavan, which is Ishvara, which is limitless. How are you going to intuit that or infer that? Not possible. It has to be revealed by its own means of knowledge, which is in the form of the teaching. But how do I know it will work? This is the general. How do I know it will work? What's the harm in trying? You won't know it will work or not unless you try, correct? And this is what we tell to all our children. You don't have to like it, you just try it. You try what is on your plate. Yeah. And especially on the Upanishad plate, if you have been served up, dished up an Upanishad plate, that is definitely the fruit of lot of previous punya, good things that you have done. This is the effect of all the wonderful things that you have done. Good karma. So, if the good karma is yielding, is helping you to encounter this teaching, be open to it. Can you help yourself? Because only when you are open, it will go in. If you are not open, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right? Yeah. It's like the person who refuses to open the eyes after cataract surgery. Why? Because I'm afraid I may not be able to see. That fear itself is stopping the operation of the means of knowledge. So here is what we gain the preparedness to help us to continue to see this. So we are not opposed to logic, but tarka kevalena, by only logic, this Atma is not established. So if you are trying to, intuit the Atma, keep on kind of having a mentation about the Atma, this knowledge is going to kiss you goodbye. That's what it's going to do. Why? Because it has other minds that it can easily sit in. It will not come to the mind which is always trying to have a little wrestling match with it. That itself is a very interesting, it's a personality where somehow people want to be stimulated mentally constantly. For that there is a lot of mithya things like we talked about. There is election, there is the cliff. Go there and do all your meditation. Here come for meditation. Yeah, meditation you live elsewhere. There is many places that you can be active. But to keep arguing with the knowledge is like slowly, what is that word for it? Sawing off the very limb upon which you are perched. Yeah, you are perched on the limb and slowly you are going like this. What is this motion?
Sawing.
Yeah, sawing. That's what happens when you are not seeing, you are sawing. Constantly seesawing. 1 minute in, 1 minute out of the knowledge, 1 minute in, 1 minute out. Yeah, come in. Yeah, don't go. That is the whole idea here. Come in and have a cup of tea, sit for a while, let the knowledge go in. What is the worst that can happen? You can't be any more ignorant than you are, correct? All that will happen is you will lose a little bit of that ignorance. Namaha, astu, let it happen. Yeah. So, na esha matihi tarkena apaniya. Well, unfortunately or fortunately for me, apanaya has two meanings. One of which I have already discussed. What was the first meaning of the word apanaya? Gain. Up to gain. Very good. Yeah. So, apanaya is not gained. Na apanaya, not gained. The second meaning of the word apanaya is to get destroyed. From apa plus ni. To get destroyed. So, it's like a warning. Don't destroy this beautiful, burgeoning, blossoming knowledge in your hearts by applying a film of logic on it. Suddenly getting scared and going into the realm of mentation. Oh, the Shruti must be wrong. This doesn't make sense. How is this going on? Don't disturb your newfound peace by trying to become a logician in the middle of doing Shravanam, second meaning, in the middle of listening. Na esha matihi tarkena hatavyaha. Don't destroy, don't kill this wonderful mind which is in the process of opening to the knowledge. Don't close it by the tunnel vision of logic. You have just started to help yourself to this knowledge and then don't stop it. This is a warning, a gentle, friendly warning. Proktani anyani eva, proktani anyan eva sujnanaya preshta. Preshta means beloved one. Who is talking? Let us remember.
Lord Yama.
Lord Yama. Who is the beloved one? Who is he talking to?
Nachiketa.
Nachiketa. And he is calling the student my dear, Preshtha, dearest one, beloved one. Proktan anyani eva, anyan proktan eva, only when it is taught by someone other. Remember we talked about ananya in the last one. Here, only when it's taught by someone other than the logician is it well internalized. Yeah. Other means a proper teacher who uses the logic properly but does not, try to beat the Atma with a stick of logic. Right? Yeah. And then what? Yam, this mati, yam means that yam, second case, that mati, tvam apaha, that knowledge which you have gained. What? He has already gained the knowledge, the teaching hasn't even begun. How?
Because it's not separate from the knowledge.
Here is where all that Ananya for 2 weeks we have been studying, it has paid off. Because he is non-separate from the knowledge. A, 3 meanings here. B, because he is about to gain the knowledge and it's like almost he's already gained the knowledge. And C, Yama being Bhagavan, Ishvara, an incarnation of Ishvara, can foresee the future that he is definitely going to gain the knowledge. B, because he has the preparedness, meaning when the preparedness is there, the knowledge is sure to come. Right? Say yes, even if you don't mean it. Yes. Yeah. So Sujnanaya means it is well understood only when it is given by someone who is not beating the teaching with a stick of logic. And then what? This knowledge has come to you easily. Why? Because you are Satyadhritihi. Satyadhritihi, you hold on to the truth. You did not settle for mithya. I gave you lot of temptations. I gave you this, that and the other, but you did not settle for mithya. You held out for the truth of the inquirer, which is you. Bata means, oh wonder, it's an expression. Asi, you are, that you held on to the reality. You did not go for all that, the non-real pieces of guilt that I flashed gilded things that I flashed in front of your eyes, like chariot and musicians and everything. You didn't go for it. And then he says, Twadrik, like you, Naha, for us. He's using the plural. And Naha bhuyat, may there be for us like you, Nachiketa, Prashtha. Prashtha means student. May all the askers, may all my students be just like you. What a lovely thing to say. Yeah. May all my students, may whoever comes to me for this knowledge, may they be just like you. More we will see next week. Do we have class on the next week?
So that's the
22nd.
Wednesday before
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving, we have class 21st. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, any questions are there?
Will logic, tarka have an appropriate place in our mananam?
Yes.
Our working
Yes.
to set our own.
Absolutely. As long as it is not going against the Shruti, logic is a very important donkey. The donkey is there to carry the burden and ride, right? Yeah. But if you start carrying the donkey around, that's not okay. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Logic is in your service. Yes.
So it's because of Nitya that the body throws a fitya. And thinks that it's like not being, cared for ultimately.
Exactly. Because of mithya, body throws a fitya. Very nice, I like that. We should put it in the next newsletter. Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the inner child. It's the unconscious. That has to be hugged. That's what it is. Only you can do it. Nobody else can do it.
Yeah.